Hello, everybody. I'm Alan Powell from the Essex Bridge Center, and this is a class in our Play of the Hand series where we are going to deal with the Crossruff and Trump management, right? So, um, first thing I always want you to do, and I harp on this anytime there's a Play of the Hand class, is make a plan, right? The opening lead comes down, dummy appears, and start thinking, right? How many tricks do I need? How many can I afford to lose in a Trump contract? Count your losers before you play to the first trick, before you think about the first trick. Count your losers. Go through each suit. And while you're going through each suit, note whether you have losers, note whether you have extra winners, note whether you have other things that you can try and do with that suit. Work through all four suits and see where you are. Take stock of where you are at the moment, right? And then you can begin to formulate your plan, see when you're going to get in. Am I going to get on this trick? Am I going to get in on another trick? Where am I going to win the first trick, right? And in a Trump contract, then the first question you should always ask yourself when making your plan is, am I going to draw Trump right away? And the answer to that question should either be yes, or you should be able to articulate a reason why not. You should say, no, I'm not going to draw Trump because I need to do this, right? I need to discard something. I need to Trump things in dummy. I need to use my Trump separately in a cross-ruff. And that's one thing we're going to talk about this week, right? Cross-ruffing is a situation where you don't draw any Trump at all, and that is part of your plan. Instead, you try to use them all to Trump things, right? The other thing we're going to look at this week is we're going to look at situations where you partially draw Trump, but there's one high one out there, right? There's a high Trump remaining. The defense has it. And the question is whether you should draw that or whether you should leave it out there. And we'll see that these situations are somewhat related in the cross-ruff and the leaving a high Trump out there. Sometimes there's overlap between the two. So that's why we're looking at them both in the same week. All right. And do everything you normally do when you're working with suits, right? Length, promotion, finesse, whatever combinations you have, work through your plan, make a plan, right? Okay. So cross-ruffing. Cross-ruff is where we're going to trump a lot of tricks. We're going to trump one suit in dummy, and we're going to trump a different suit in hand, right? Thereby making all of our trump tricks separately if possible, right? And therefore making many, many more tricks than if we had played them at the same time, right? Looking at our first example here, now you'll notice I left off clubs in this example. So the club suit is irrelevant here. We're just looking at these three suits, okay? Spades, hearts, and diamonds. The contract is 4 spades, so trump or spades. So I have 4 spades in trump and in dummy, and I have 4 spades in my hand. And if I played ace, king, queen, and then the jack, I could take 4 spade tricks right now, right? But alternatively, I could, with spades as trump, make them all separately, right? So I could lead the 2 of hearts from my hand and trump it in the dummy with the 7. I could play the 2 of diamonds from dummy then and trump it with the jack in my hand. 3 of hearts, right? Ruff it with the 8. 3 of diamonds, trump it with the queen, right? And it keeps going on and on, right? I lead another heart and I trump it. I lead another diamond and I trump it. I lead another heart and I trump it. And eventually I could take all 8 tricks here as trump, right? By cross-ruffing. So the idea is I'm crossing back and forth and I'm roughing as many times as possible, right? And there go the name cross-ruff, right? I play a diamond and I cross the table and I trump it over there, right? And then I play a heart from my hand and I trump it on the board. So I've crossed over, right? And then I play a diamond from the board back to my hand and I trump it. So I've crossed back there, right? Back and forth while roughing, cross ruff. Okay. So let's think about what we have to do to set up a crossruff. When is a crossruff the right idea for a hand? A couple of conditions for us to look for. First of all, we need to have suits of appropriate length opposite shortness in the other hand, right? Each hand needs to have a side suit, right, of 4 or 5 cards in length, which is also short on the other side with a singleton or void on the other side. Now, in this particular example, we have 4 hearts opposite a void. We have 4 diamonds opposite a void, right? So I'm able to trump 4 diamonds in my hand. I'm able to trump 4 hearts in a dummy. So length, right, in 2 suits, opposite shortness in both hands, right? So you need a long suit opposite shortness. You need a long suit opposite shortness on both sides of the table. You need to have sufficient trump in both hands, right? So typically, you're going to want to have 8-ish trump for this at a minimum, right? They will also usually be divided 4-4 or 5-5. 5 is better. 5-4 is possible. You're going to have, a significant number of trump in each hand so that you can trump a lot. If you have unbalanced hands where you have one long trump suit and one short one, right? 5-3, 6-3, then rather than cross-ruffing, trumping in the short hand, trumping in dummy might be more appropriate because you can't trump back and forth as many times if they're not equal or both long, right? 5 and 4. So if you're down to like 5-3, 6-3, roughing in the hand with 3 a couple of times and then attempting to draw trump might well be a better option. Never say never, always in bridge, never say never, right? But generally speaking, you're going to look for sufficient trump in both hands, which will typically be at least 4 in each hand. All right. The other thing you need to do is you need to have decent strength in the trump suit, right? Because when you cross ruff, you are not going to draw trump. And there will probably come a point where a defender will have the opportunity to over ruff if your trump are not high enough, right? That is not to say that you have to have all of the high trump, right? If a couple of our cards here were lower, right, we might still be able to execute the cross ruff as long as when we get to the end of the thing, when we're roughing the 3rd and the 4th diamond or the 3rd and the 4th heart, our trump are high by that point, right? So you may have a situation where you have all the high trump. That's perfect, right? You have a situation where you have high trump, but not all of your trump are high, in which case you have to hope that you can get the little ones in quick so that the high ones are available later, right? So good strength in the trump suit is going to be important. What you want to avoid is the opponents over roughing you and then starting to play trump and reducing your ability to trump stuff, right? So the other thing that is important to remember when you are cross-ruffing is the first rule of cross-ruffing is always cash your side winners first. So before you start the process of trump here, trump there, trump here, trump there, trump here, you want to take any winners that you have in a different suit first, because when you cross-ruff, you are not going to draw trump, right? You're using all of your trump to ruff things. You're not going to draw trump. The opponents are going to have trump left at the end of the hand. And if you are trying to take winners late in the hand, they might have been able to throw things away, right? And when you go to play those winners, they might be able to trump them. Instead, if you take them while, suppose you have on the side the ace, king of clubs, right? But if you take the ace, king of clubs while they still have clubs, they can't trump them. And then you start the flurry, right? Ruff this, ruff that, ruff this, ruff that. So first rule of cross-ruffing, always cash your side winners first, right? Before you start trumping in hand and dummy and hand and dummy and hand and dummy, take your winners, okay? So let's look at an example A here. and then I'm going to demonstrate it for us. So in this example, we are in 4 spades, right? The opening lead is the king of hearts. And let's have a look at the hand here and think about whether this hand is appropriate for a crossruff. So first thing we wanted to look for is length, opposite, shortness in both hands. Now, if I draw your attention to hearts, we have the ace of hearts opposite a singleton, and then we have 4 more hearts. So we could potentially ruff as many as 4 hearts here, right? How many trump do we have in dummy? 4, right? Diamonds. If you look, the ace of diamonds and 4 more cards in dummy opposite a singleton. So I could play the ace of diamonds and ruff up to 4 diamonds, right? Do I have sufficient trump in each hand? Yeah, I do, right? I can trump 4 over there and then 5 back over here, right? So I have plenty of trump, right? In each hand, in both hands, there is sufficient trump to do the job. Do I have good strength in my trump suit? Yeah, they're all high on this hand, right? I don't have any trump that can be overruffed on this hand. Okay, so that will work well for me. So let's just have a little look at our plan here, right? You need 10 winners. You can afford 3 losers. If you count your losers, you'll end up with 4 heart losers. That's 1 loser too many. Now you can trump a heart and dummy and solve that problem. But you could trump 4 hearts and dummy and solve all of those problems, right? To do that, though, we need to have be able to go back and forth. Instead, we have decided that this hand will be a crossruff, right? So should you pull trump here? No. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to trump hearts in dummy. I'm going to trump diamonds in my hand. I'm never planning on drawing trump, right? Drawing any rounds of trump here would decrease the number of tricks I can take, right? Each time I play a spade, if I play the ace of spades and the 6 in dummy, that's 1 less thing I can ruff, right? If I play the king, if I draw trump here, I lose the ability to trump, right? If I ruff in dummy, if I ruff 4 things in dummy and 5 things in my hand, I can generate 9 tricks. If I draw trump, I will probably only generate 5 or 6. Okay. So the last thing that I want to discuss here is we counted our losers on this hand, but realistically, when you are dealing with a crossruff, you're going to want to instead count the number of tricks you're going to win to see if you can make your contract rather than the number of tricks you can lose, because you are never planning on drawing trump. There's going to come a point where at the end of the hand, your opponents are going to have trump and you're not going to have any tricks, right? So as a result, counting losers when you're cross-ruffing is not as effective. Instead, we should count winners. So looking at this hand, let's count the number of tricks we think we can win. So the opening lead is a king of hearts. I think I can win the ace of hearts, right? I also think I can win the ace of diamonds. That's 2. I think I can win the ace king of clubs. That's 2 more for 4. And then I think I can ruff 4 hearts in dummy and 5 things in my hand for 9 more tricks, right? So if I do this right, I think I can make all the tricks. I have 13 tricks here, right? So what I want to do here is I want to switch over to my other screen and let's actually do this one, right? So opening lead was the king of hearts here, right? So my plan was I'm going to win the ace of hearts, right? I do want you to keep in mind the first rule of cross-ruffing that says take your side winners early. What are your side winners here? Your side winners are any winners that are not going to be ruffed, right? Specifically on this hand, the ace and king of clubs. Right now, everybody has 2 clubs. And before that is no longer the case, grab that ace, king of clubs, right? And then you take your ace of diamonds, right? And at this point, we are ready to begin our cross-ruff. So I play a diamond and I trump it, right? I play a heart, and I trumpet. And it turns out East doesn't have any more hearts, does he? So East at this point is just going to start throwing stuff, right? And then I play another diamond, and I trumpet, right? And then I play another heart, and I trumpet. And East still just has to throw stuff away, right? And then I play a diamond, and I trumpet, right? And then I play a heart, and I trumpet. And then I play a diamond. It gets monotonous after a while, right? And I trumpet. And at this point, I play a heart, and East has to play a spade. He doesn't have a choice, right? He's under roughing, and I rough with the queen, and West, and neither West nor East can beat the queen of spades. And coming back, neither East nor West can beat the ace of spades, right? So I am able to take all 13 tricks on this hand. Okay. So looking at the hand, that was our plan, right? We decided that we were going to cross rough. We have length opposite shortness in both hands. I have 5 hearts opposite a singleton. I have 5 diamonds opposite a singleton. I have plenty of trump. I have 5 spades and 4 spades, right? So I can trump a lot of things. And the ace king of clubs here was a bonus, right? I was able to take a couple of extra tricks. I do want to show you what happens if you don't take those right away, right? If you violate the first rule of cross roughing and you immediately just start doing your thing, right? So you win the ace of hearts, you win the ace of diamonds, you start roughing diamonds, right? You start roughing hearts, right? And you're still having fun. You're going back and forth, right? And you're still roughing diamonds. You're still roughing hearts. And you're still roughing diamonds. And then when you go to the rough this time, and West doesn't have a diamond to play, does he? And he knows you're going to trump hearts. There's no hope there. So what he does, he throws away a club. They may come back to haunt us. We play another heart and we trumpet, right? We play another diamond and we trumpet. Oops, trumpet. And again, West throws away a club, right? And then we play, whoops. And then we play another heart and we trumpet. Right? We play, at this point, we have the ace king of clubs left, right? And we have the ace of spades. So if you wait until now, if you violate the first rule of cross roughing and you don't take your ace king of clubs and you wait till now, look what happens. I play club to the ace and West roughs it. And West plays back the queen of hearts, right? And I'm forced to rough with the ace. And then I play another club and West roughs it again. Well, East wins it with the 5, right? And instead of taking all 13 tricks, I take 11 tricks. Now that's still good. I still make my contract. But if I just take the ace king of clubs before they are able to throw everything away, before I start the cross rough, first rule of cross roughing, take your side winners early. Take that ace king of clubs and you're home free here. All right, second example. All right, so example B here, the contract is for hearts, right? By South, the opening lead is the king of spades. And looking at the hand, we have the ace of spades. And we also have 4 more spades, right? So we have a long suit, spades, opposite shortness. Looking the other way, we have a void and diamond. So we have shortness in the other hand, right? And we have 4 diamonds and dummy, right? So on this hand, I could potentially rough up to 4 spades and dummy and 4 hearts in my hand, right? Thereby turning what would have been 5 tricks, maybe, into what could be 8 tricks, right? It's a way of extending the number of tricks. The other thing to look at here is clubs. I do have a couple of clubs, right? Ace, king. So in terms of a cross rough, do I have length opposite shortness in both hands? Yes, I have long spades opposite a singleton. I have long diamonds opposite a void. Do I have sufficient trump in each hand? I have 4 hearts in dummy. I have 4 hearts in my hand. Do I have good enough strength in the trump suit? And the answer is yeah, probably here, because the first couple rounds, I'm hopeful that the opponents will have to follow suit, right? If I play a diamond from dummy and rough it with the 4, I don't think they're going to over rough on the first round. That'd be a really wild split, right? So I can probably rough a couple of diamonds with the 5 and the 4 before I get concerned that anyone can over rough it, right? And then when I'm roughing with the queen and the jack, they're high. Same thing in North. When I play, I'll win the ace of spades on the first trick. When I play a spade and rough it, unless I get a terrible break, they're not going to be able to over rough, right? And if I can rough a spade with the 2 and rough a spade with the 3, then at that point, the ace king are high, right? So frequently when you're dealing with a cross rough, you're trying to sneak in the little trumps early and then rough with high ones towards the end, right? This is a very common way to handle a cross rough. I have partially high trump, right? I have some low trump. And what I do is I try and make those little ones early before the opponents are able to grab anything, right? So this hand looks like it will work for a cross rough. So when I'm making my plan, I need 10 winners. I can afford 3 losers. I can count losers, but really it's not losers that are that important on this hand. If I'm going to cross rough, I actually want to count winners, right? Which I know is backwards from what we usually do, but when you decide to cross rough, you should see how many tricks you can take before you run out of gas, because eventually in a cross rough, you will run out of gas and run out of trump, right? And the opponents will still have trump and they'll start taking them. So am I going to draw trump here? No, I want to trump in both hands as many as possible. When planning a cross rough, count your winners instead of your losers. So here, I think I can win the ace of spades. That's 1. I think I can win the ace king of clubs. That's 2 more for 3. And then I think I can rough 4 spades in the dummy, right? And rough 4 diamonds back in my hand for 8 more tricks, right? 8 plus 3 is 11. I think I can make 11 tricks on this hand. So counting losers for a cross rough, not really effective, right? You need to count how many tricks am I going to win before I run out of trump and I run out of tricks. Okay. So on this hand, I'm going to try a cross rough, and let's switch back over and actually try it. Okay. All right, so here's our hand. Opening lead was the king of spades, right? So we're going to win the ace on the first trick. And then what do we do next? I would like to remind you of the first rule of cross-roughing. The first rule of cross-roughing says, test your side winners early. Where are your side winners on this hand? Well, I don't have any more winners in diamonds. I don't have any more winners in spades, but I do have the ace of clubs and the king of clubs, and I want to get them now. So winning the ace of spades, I'll grab this, I'll grab the ace. I'm cashing my side winners early. This is the first rule of cross-roughing. Notice how they each had a club. They each had to follow to a club. So I snagged my 2 tricks before anything bad could happen. And at that point, I start my cross rough, right? I rough the diamond over here. I play a spade and I rough it. I'm making sure to rough with low ones here because the early ones, they shouldn't be able to over rough, right? I play a second diamond and I sneak that 5 in, right? And I play another spade and I rough with the 3. And as long as they both have another spade, I have managed to make all my little ones. And now I'm going to make all my high ones. And they can't stop you from making the high ones, right? So I play a diamond and I rough it high. I play a spade and I rough it high. And East has no more spades, but he cannot over rough me because he had to follow suit the first 2 times, right? I play a diamond and I trumpet. Right. And I play a spade and nobody has any spades at this point, but I'm still going to trumpet. Right. And one of the things you'll see at this point is that I have no more trump and I have no more tricks. I have taken the first 11 tricks in my crossrough and I have run out of gas. Right. I have nothing else I can do here. My opponents who, were playing along without drawing any trump have nothing but trump left. And this will be a common occurrence, right? In a cross ruff. What you do is you ruff as many things as possible. You take all your tricks, and then you depart the field gracefully, and your opponents are able to take whatever's left, right? So at this point, the 10 and the 9 will take the last 2 tricks. Nothing I could do to stop them, right? Again, I want you to remember what happens if you violate the first rule of cross-ruffing. So you win the first spade, and you start roughing spades because you can, right? So we did not take our club winners yet, did we? And we rough a spade, we rough a diamond, we rough a spade. And everything still works the same way. I'm still getting my little trump roughed here, right? So that I have only high ones left, right? And then when I go to rough the last spade, I can rough with the ace, but look what happens. My opponent, who doesn't have any more spades, throws away a club. Uh-oh, that's going to come back to bite me. I play a diamond and I trump it, right? I play another spade and I trump it, right? And he throws away another club on me. And then I play a diamond and I trump it. And then what happens? I have the ace king of clubs left, right? I have 2 more tricks. I've taken 9, but I want my ace king of clubs. I play a club, right? And they rough it because they couldn't follow suit when I was roughing high. They threw away the winners that I needed, right? Instead of doing it this way, instead of waiting until the end to take the ace of clubs and the king of clubs, I take them at the start before they're able to throw anything away. Because at this point, I'm done, right? They roughed my ace of clubs. And at that point, West has nothing but trump left. So I'm not going to win any more tricks. So if I violate the first rule of cross-ruffing on this, it costs me 2 tricks instead of 11. I take 9, and that costs me my contract, right? So keep in mind when you're planning your cross-ruff, grab any side winners that you have first, right? So snag that ace of clubs and the king of clubs before East is able to throw them away. And then you will be able to take the maximum number of tricks, all right? All right, so that's the cross-ruff, right? I'd like to now discuss a little bit about dealing with outstanding high trump, right? So the situation here is going to be that we are able to draw some rounds of trump, but we run out of high ones and the opponents are left with what may be 1 high trump, right? So in this circumstance, looking here, I have the ace and the king. I have an 8-card fit. So I plan to play off the ace and the king and see what happens. And most of the time here, the opponents are going to have a 3rd high spade, right? It's higher than both of mine, right? So I have 2 possibilities here. Number 1, I could stop drawing trump, move on to the rest of my plan, and let West take the jack of spades at his leisure, right? Whenever he wants to take it, he can take it, okay? Or I could play a 3rd round of trump and use 2 of my trump to take out 1 of his trump, right? So which one of those is best? Well, it's going to depend on the individual hand, right? So some reasons not to draw that last trump. First of all, I don't want to use 2 of mine to draw 1 of theirs, right? Often advantageous because if I can make him rough with that jack of spades, if he has the rough with it, then my 8's still in the dummy and I still have, 3 cards in my hand. I can make an extra trick with the one in the dummy, right? I can't stop the defense from winning that high trump, but I might be able to make extra ones with my trump, right? So either making them rough or making my trump separately can be to me my advantage. The second thing, and this is a more complicated idea, is I don't want the defense to be able to further its plans, right? With before I can further mine. So this is a concept called tempo, and this is going to be a little more difficult idea for you in that if I give them a trick right now, then they're able to start attacking the things they want to attack, right? And that maybe makes me lose something. Instead, I leave that high trump out there for them to take when they want, and I go about my business. I go about promoting things. I go about setting up long suits. I go about taking finesses. I go about trumping things if that was part of my plan, right? So tempo is a more difficult concept, but the idea is if you lose the lead, you allow the defense to continue with its plans, and it may be able to do something to hurt you, right? And the last thing is I might not want to lose control, right? Especially in circumstances where I only have a couple of trump left. And if I play both of my trump while knocking out theirs and losing the trick, that can be very bad for me, right? There's no more trump at all. How do I get back in? If I can't stop every suit, that can be very dangerous, right? Instead, I can try and make them rough with it, and then I still have my trump to get back in with, okay? So losing control, running out of trump, using all of your trump to draw theirs can be a very dangerous thing, right? But in bridge, right, nothing is always this, you can't say always, right? So why would I want to draw it? And the main reason that you would want to draw it is because if you leave it out there, the defense can use it when they choose to use it. And if they can choose to use it at a time which will ruin your plans, then drawing it might be the best choice, right? For instance, if you're running a suit in dummy and you have no more entries to dummy, and you play a round or two of the suit, and then your opponent roughs it, right? You can't get back there. So it might have been better to knock out their high trump first. So if they can use their trump at a time which will ruin your plans, then drawing it might be the right choice. Generally speaking, the default option is going to be to leave it out. You should only try and draw it if you can see a reason why leaving it out there is going to be a problem, right? So generally speaking, when the opponents have a high trump, you're going to want to just leave it alone unless you know they can damage you with it, right? Unless you can see why it is dangerous to leave it out there. All right. How does that translate into actual hands? Well, let's have a look at this one, right? So opening lead is the ace of hearts. Our contract here is 4 spades, right? So let's take a moment, right? In 4 spades, 10 winners, 3 losers. We're going to count our losers here, and this is not a crossruff hand. I don't have a situation where I have a long suit opposite shortness, long suit opposite shortness. So definitely going to count losers. The only time you ever count winners in a trump contract is if you're going to crossruff, and we're not crossruffing here, right? So opening lead, ace of hearts. Let's count our losers. Spades. Well, I have the ace and the king. I'm missing the queen and the jack. If I'm lucky enough to get a 2-2 break, fine. But most of the time, I'm going to get a 3-1 break, and I'm going to lose a spade. So I'm counting a spade loser. Hearts. I'm missing the ace and the king. I only have 2 in my hand. Therefore, 2 heart losers. I'm losing 1 now. Probably lose the second one shortly. Diamonds. Well, I have 4 in my hand. I have the king and dummy, the ace in my hand. That takes care of 2 of them. And I have 2 more diamonds. So I have 2 diamond losers. Now, I think that I might be able to trump those 2 diamonds in dummy, right? I have shortness in dummy opposite. I have 2 cards in dummy, 4 in my hand. Those last 2, I think I can trump in dummy. So that should be a consideration for my plan. Clubs, I have the ace and the king. That's no problem, right? So I end up with 5 losers, 2 too many. And the only ones that I think I can do something about are the diamonds. I want to try and rough diamonds in dummy, right? So am I going to draw trump here? Well, I can't draw 3 rounds. I'm going to play off the ace and the king and see if I get lucky and they break. But if they don't break and there's a 3rd one out there, it's going to be higher than mine. And I have the option of leaving it, right, and letting them use when they want, or drawing it right away. I don't want to use two of my spades for one of theirs. The reason being, my plan is to ruff two diamonds and dummy. And in order for that to work, I need two diamonds and dummy, two trump and dummy, right? So if I play off the ace and the king and I were to play a third round, that would eliminate the third one in dummy. I'd lose the trick anyway. It would gain me nothing. And I would only be able to trump one diamond and I would end up down. Okay. So instead, my plan here is to play off the ace, king of spades. If there's a high trump out there, I'll leave it and I'll go about my business. My business is roughing diamonds and dummy. Okay. So I'm just going to leave that high trump out there. So let's have a look at this one in action, right? Okay, opening lead is the ace of hearts, right? Well, we're going to lose that one, right? And we're probably going to lose the king of hearts too, right? And they might even try the queen, just in case, right? However, we can trump that one. All right, so we're in, right? Our plan here is to draw 2 rounds and see if we get some good news in the trump suit. We play off the ace, right? And we play off the king. And we see that today is not our lucky day. In fact, the opponents still have a high trump. East has specifically the queen of spades. I know that, right? I haven't seen the queen yet. He's got 1 spade left. It's higher than mine, right? I cannot win that trick. So my plan involves roughing 2 diamonds and dummy. Instead of using 2 of my trump to draw one of theirs, I'm going to execute my plan. I'm going to just start roughing things in dummy. And eventually East is going to make that queen of spades. I can't stop him. But what I'm going to do is go about my plan so that I don't waste one of my trump in dummy. So I rough a diamond, right? And then I need to get back into my hand and do it again. So I'll play a club to the king, right? And I'll play another diamond. And at this point, when I rough with the 9, East can overrough that, right? But that's okay. I know he's going to win the queen of spades. The question is when, right? Now when he plays a club, I win the ace, and I have 2 remaining spades in my hand. So I allowed him to win the queen of spades when he could, when he wanted to, but I am still able to make 10 tricks because I had enough spades in dummy to rough, right? So let's have a look at what can go wrong here, right? So they take the first 2, and then they play a third one, and you trump it. And at this point, you draw trump, right? You play low to the ace. You play another one to the king. And you decide, I want to eradicate those. I want to play those. And you play a third round of spades for them to win, right? He wins the queen of spades. Now, he can't really do anything to hurt you at this point, but you've used up your 8 of spades from the board, right? And that was a definite part of our plan. So now when they try something, they might try a club here, right? You can win it. And our plan was to rough diamonds and dummies, so we'll continue with that plan. We take the king, we take the ace, high card from the short side, all that good stuff. We rough a diamond with the 9. We play a club back to the king. And then at this point, when we really want to rough another diamond and dummy, we don't have any more. We used 2 of our spades to take out one of his and left us short for our plan. All right. So when there's a high trump, frequently you want to leave it out. Okay. All right. All right. One more example for us to look at. So again, contract for spades. Opening lead here is the queen of clubs, right? Let's have a look at this one. 4 spades, 10 winners, 3 losers, right? Let's count our losers. So in spades, we have 8 cards. We have the ace and the king. I do expect we're going to lead with a 3-2 break. We're going to lose a spade, right? So the opponents will probably have a spade trick on the third round. Hearts. Well, no heart losers, right? I have the ace and the king, and I have 2 in my hand. As a matter of fact, I have 3 surplus heart winners, don't I? Right? So I could run off all 5 hearts and discard 3 things in my hand. That would be good for me, right? Diamonds. Well, I have the ace of diamonds, and I have 3 more cards, which are losers, right? So right away, I can see a plan forming in my head. I need to try and discard 3 diamonds on the 3 hearts. Clubs, I have the ace king, so I have no losers there, right? So my 3 diamond losers, I have 1 spade loser. My 3 diamond losers, though, I think I can do something about. I think I can throw them on the hearts, right? Question to ask yourself, am I going to draw Trump here? And you're certainly going to draw 2 rounds of Trump. The question is whether you want to draw the 3rd round of Trump or not, right? Should you draw the 3rd round? Well, what does our plan involve here? Our plan involves running off all of our hearts, right? And discarding diamonds from our hand. So by the time we get down to the 3rd, 4th, or 5th heart, it's entirely possible that someone could trump one of those. And if somebody trumped one of our hearts, how would you get back to dummy? Spade's not going to be high, is it? I'm not going to be able to get there, right? So if the opponents were able to ruff one of our hearts, we might be in trouble. They can use their trump at the time when it's most advantageous to them, which might not be advantageous to me, right? So let's have a look at this one. So our opening lead is the queen of clubs, right? We're going to win. Are we going to draw Trump? We're definitely going to play the ace king, right? And see what happens. We're watching carefully to see if the queen and the jack fall. That'd be pretty lucky, and we're not that lucky. So at this point, we know somebody has the queen of spades. We don't know who has it, though, do we? Could be west, could be east. There's no indication for us as to who has it, but somebody out there has the queen of spades, right? And the default idea is we might leave it out there, right? And if we leave it out there, let's see what happens. I play the 10 of hearts, right? So far, so good. And then I want to play another heart. And I find out that I get an absolutely terrible break. Now, it didn't have to be this bad, but some days it will be. All right. And my opponent is able to ruff the 2nd round of hearts with the queen. And I still have the ace, king, queen on the dummy. But as we will see, I lack an entry. If I play the 10 of spades, the 9 of spades, the 8 of spades, the 5 will not overtake it, will it? Right? Our spots were not in favor here. Instead, I'm stuck in my hand. I'll just have to play a diamond, right? And then another diamond. And they'll do something, right? Sorry, I did that wrong. And they'll take their king of diamonds, and I will end up losing 2 diamonds. It turns out my 4th diamond is good, but it didn't have to be, right? At which point I have the remaining tricks here. So I managed to get rid of a diamond loser, not by throwing it away, but by the virtue of them being 3-3, which is against the odds, right? But you saw what happened there. I left the high trump out, and they trumped with it at an embarrassing time for me, right? They trumped with it at a time before I was able to take all of my discards and hearts. So instead, if you know they could trump at a bad time for you, you should probably sacrifice 2 of yours for 1 of theirs. So I play the ace and the king, and I know that somebody out there has the queen. If I lose the lead at this point, they can't do much to hurt me, right? If they play hearts, I'm okay. If they play diamonds, I'll win the ace. They can't win their diamonds yet. If they play clubs, I can win it. They can't hurt me in any suit. So I concede the queen of spades, even though I'm turning 2 for 1 here, right? And they'll play something back, and they might try a diamond at this point. Oops. But it's too late, right? Because I win my ace of diamonds. There are no more trump out. So now I execute my plan of discarding 3 heart losers. Right? And even though there's a terrible break, I still have plenty of winners. And on the king of hearts, I throw a diamond. On the queen of hearts, I throw a diamond. On the jack of hearts, I throw a diamond. So I've executed my plan of discarding 3 diamond losers on the 3 heart winners, right? The 3 surplus heart winners. And at this point, I have all the remaining tricks, right? I have the ace of clubs, I have the 10-9 of spades, and I end up making 12 tricks. So instead of making only 10 and squeaking out my contract with a good break in diamonds, simply by giving them the spade, trading 2 for 1, but allowing me to run my hearts in peace, right? I traded a spade, 2 of my spades for 1 of theirs, but that allowed me to play all 5 hearts in a row, 10, ace, king, queen, jack, discarding all 3 diamonds, right? So this is an example of when you would knock out that extra trump. If they can do something to you at the wrong time, you should trade 2 for 1 and then execute the rest